Hello again, and thank you for joining today's No Kid Hungry Center for Best Practices webinar, Enriching Your Summer Meals Program. Before we get started, I want to say a quick thank you to our sponsor, which was made possible through the generous support of the Arby's Foundation. Just to give you all a brief overview of what we'll be talking about today, we'll start off with introducing our panel, and then we're going to hear about USDA's brand new Summer Enrichment Toolkit, Summer Foods, Summer Meals. Then we'll hear about an example of using SNAP-Ed funding for summer enrichment. Then we'll hear about resources from the nonprofit organization First Book, and then we'll hear about an example of First Book in action from the organization Hope for Miami. And we will have time after that for Q&A. Speaking of which, our call is in listen-only mode right now, so you cannot ask questions, but you can write in questions at any time using the questions section in the GoToWebinar menu on the right. We will answer all of the questions at the end, and if you want to address any of your questions to a speaker specifically, just specify that in your question, and it'll make it easier for us to direct your questions to the right person. And also as a note, this webinar will be recorded, and after the webinar is over, we will send you a link to the recording and the slides and any of the resources discussed. So without further ado, I'll introduce myself now that I've been talking for a few minutes already. I'm Carolyn Waite, a program manager at the No Kid Hungry Center for Best Practices, and I am very pleased to have joining me today Maya Morodo, who is a nutritionist in the Child Nutrition Program at USDA's Food Nutrition Service. Dr. Morodo's work focuses on the development of USDA teen nutrition educational materials aimed at improving children's lifelong eating and physical habits. Next, we have Dorian Stonebarger. Dorian is the program manager at 3 Square Food Bank in Las Vegas, Nevada. She oversees the daily operations of all 3 Square's childhood nutrition programs, including the Summer Food Service Program, since 2010. Next, we have Candice Radowski. Candice serves as First Book's National Engagement Team, where she is the Director of Partnership Development. In this role, she develops and oversees public and private sector partnerships with government nonprofit organizations that serve low-income children and families. And finally, we have Yvonne Sawyer. Yvonne is the co-founder of Hope for Miami and founder of Hope for New York. She has 25 years of experience with nonprofit management and the development of programs which serve youth and families, including after-school, literacy, mentoring, and prevention services that keep youth away from high-risk behaviors. All right, and with that, we will turn it over to Maya to tell us about USDA's resources.
Thank you so much, Carolyn, for the introduction. And I'm so pleased that the timing is so perfect for all of us at USDA FNS and for you all, because just today we released a collection of nutrition education resources for summer meal site operators in English and Spanish. These exciting new materials, developed under the agency's Teen Nutrition Initiative, are designed to help kids and families make healthy food choices and to be physically active during the summer months. The new materials include Summer Food, Summer Moves, which is a step-by-step kit to help summer meal site operators use creative themes, entertaining games, and educational activities to teach kids and families about nutrition and exercise. We also have the Take a Healthy Summer Break infographic, which is a dynamic tool that can be used to highlight the importance of healthy food choices and physical activity during the summer. And then last but not least, we have the This Summer Eat Smart to Play Hard parent handout, which is a family-friendly guide that schools can send home at the end of the school year to parents. The handout includes nutrition tips, an interactive game, and information about how to find a summer meal site. Since it's only March, it may seem like it's too early to be talking about summer, but we know that it's really the perfect time for summer meal site operators to start planning how they're going to incorporate some or all of these resources as part of daily activities or as part of a special summer kickoff event. Next slide, please. So before I go into further into the kit, I want to give you a little background on USDA Teen Nutrition, which is the portion of USDA that developed these materials. Team Nutrition is an initiative of the USDA Food and Nutrition Service to support the child nutrition programs through training and technical assistance for food service, nutrition education for children and their caregivers, and school and community support for healthy eating and physical activity. The goal of Team Nutrition is to improve children's lifelong eating and physical activity habits through nutrition education based on the principles of the Dietary Guidelines for Americans and MyPlate. Team Nutrition provides a number of free nutrition education materials that the public can access through our website. Next slide. The impetus for the Team Nutrition Summer Kit comes from the literature and from data that USDA has on program usage. Research shows that children consume fewer vegetables and more added sugar and watch more television during the summer months, and that many children experience rapid gains in body mass index during the summer compared to during the school year. USDA program data also shows that only a fraction of the 20 million kids who get free and reduced price lunches participate in the summer feeding programs. Research shows that offering activities at summer meal sites is a promising strategy for increasing participation in summer meal programs. And it really just makes sense. The kids are going to be drawn to places that are offering games and challenges and food preparation and food testing activities that are fun for kids. So for those reasons, Team Nutrition decided to develop and offer a host of resources that can be used to introduce fun, easy, and nutrition-focused activities and messages at summer meal sites. Before I go into the specific pieces of the resource kit, I just wanted to share the key nutrition messages of the program. The messages of the Team Nutrition Summer Resources are consistent with the 2015 to 2020 Dietary Guidelines for Americans and with target behaviors associated with childhood obesity prevention. The four healthy moves that the whole summer kit is based around include helping children choose water instead of sugar-sweetened beverages, choose more fruits and vegetables at meals and snacks, to limit screen time to no more than 1 to 2 hours per day, and to get at least 60 minutes of physical activity each day. These are really sort of simple, actionable tips that can be really feasibly integrated into fun and entertaining activities that can be implemented in summer meal settings, which may have variable or limited operating hours and staff with little training in nutrition education. Our focus group research with parents that we did in developing this kit confirmed that these messages really resonate with both kids and parents. These messages are woven throughout all of our Team Nutrition summer education resources. The first piece that I would like to present is the Take a Healthy Summer Break infographic. This piece was designed to raise awareness about those 4 healthy moves I just went over, and is a really unique feature for an infographic in that it not only raises awareness, like tells you how many teaspoons of sugar are in a 12-ounce sugar-sweetened drink, or shows you how many hours on average children are spending in front of a screen. It also gives a practical step that you can take to change that behavior and gives a goal for what should be done instead of that. So we think that's really a unique feature of this infographic. In focus group testing, parents love the simple format and the actionable tips. The next piece that I'd like to talk about is the parent brochure entitled "This Summer, Eat Smart to Play Hard." This guide and the infographic are really designed for schools and community partners to distribute to families at the end of the school year to encourage families to adopt the 4 healthy moves, and both of the pieces provide information about how to find a summer meal program that's located in their local community. This family guide also includes a fun family challenge to encourage families to work together, sort of like a game, to adopt healthier behaviors and to celebrate their wins with a healthy family reward. So the kit that's available for summer meal sites is called Summer Food, Summer Moves, and I'm going to go over that kit now. Summer Food, Summer Moves is a dynamic and flexible resource kit for summer meal site operators, which includes an operator activity guide with nutrition education activities and kid-friendly recipes, 7 educational posters, 6 types of promotional flyers, an activity placemat, and a set of 6 different educational handouts for parents. The kit is designed to be used in a variety of types of summer meal sites, ranging from parks to schools to community or faith-based settings. So let's take a look inside the kit now. The operator activity guide is divided into 6 fun summertime themes, each featuring a number of activities, recipes, and taste tests that can be implemented at summer meal sites in a variety of settings. So whether it's indoors or outdoors, sites that want to do water activities, sites that want to do special kickoff events, or sites with limited space, time, or equipment, there's something in this guide for everyone. The operator guide begins with a getting started guide with an overview of the themes and materials, tips for customizing the activities to meet the needs of children who need functional support, food safety and food allergy tips, and a short nutrition glossary with important words to know to help site operators understand some basic nutrition concepts before they get started. The operator guide table of contents also features a handy prep-o-meter for each activity to make it easier for operators to pick activities that will work based on their daily staffing or time constraints. The operator activity guide features activities for kids, and each activity includes a guideline of what ages are best for the activity, what size of the group, how long it will take, what materials are needed, and step-by-step instructions on how to do the activity, including a script that they can really just read that will help them run the activity very smoothly with kids. Each activity also has a make-it-your-own box at the bottom with tips for how to customize the activity if their site serves younger kids or older kids, larger groups or smaller groups, or that take more time or less time. We also have a no materials, no time, no problem area at the very bottom of the activities that have a very fast and easy way to get the nutrition across and just the message across in just a few minutes. For instance, something that site operator could say to kids while they're standing in line to get their meals or snacks that really encapsulates the key message of the activity. In addition, many of the activities feature sample Facebook messages or tweets that can be sent out to let parents and the wider community know about all the fun activities that are happening at their site. Next slide, please. Summer food, summer moves would not be complete without food. So our operator guide features 6 kid-tested and approved recipes that you see here. In addition to these recipes, which can be turned into food demos for kids, there are also tasting activities, including water sparklers, bell pepper tasting, fruit and veggie waters, and herb and spice tasting activities woven throughout the kit. The kit also features 7 colorful summer-focused posters, including a My Plate, Mi Plato poster to help decorate summer meal sites while reminding kids to eat smart and play hard. The posters are going to be available in both English, or they are available in both English and Spanish. We also heard from sites that wanted materials that they could give to kids to do on their own. So we developed this fun activity placemat that's created to reinforce the My Plate message and the 4 healthy moves. The kids can color, decode nutrition messages, and laugh at a few funny food jokes with this Summer Food, Summer Moves placemat. We also have flyers available to make sure that sites that are using all these great materials can advertise what they're doing throughout the community. In addition to the sample social media posts, we also have these 6 customizable flyers that can be used to spread the word about the fun activities and healthy free meals available at their summer meal site. And last but not least, the kit includes 6 different family guides. In order to extend the learning, not just from in the site, we want the families also to get the message. So we have developed these guides that correspond to the 6 themes in the operator guide. They can be sent home with kids. The family guides feature tips for parents, games for families, recipes and tastings to get the whole family making healthier food and beverage choices and getting more physically active over the summer months. And on the next slide, you can see that, as I said a couple of times, all of these materials are available in both English and Spanish from the Team Nutrition website. And on the next slide, I will give you our URL, and hopefully people, oh, I'm sorry, I skip the slide. We will, in the future, in the next couple of months, have one additional piece that, oh, I'm sorry, go back. We have one additional piece that will be a tip sheet on offering healthy summer meals that kids enjoy. So it'll have tips on how to offer healthier meals, how to improve meal appeal, and best practices to improve meal quality. We felt like that was a great addendum to the summer kit so that the meals can be healthier and more appealing to kids. And then the next slide is our website. So these materials, as I said, are available starting today on our website, teamnutrition.usda.gov. You can also follow us on Twitter at Team Nutrition. And you can download all of these. And I just want to emphasize that right now the materials are available for download. Starting this summer, print materials will be available for order. So any site that participates in the child nutrition program, so any site that participates in the Seamless Summer option of the National School Lunch Program or the Summer Food Service Program or any of the other child nutrition programs will be able to request and order free hard copies of all of these materials, but that is coming this summer. But I also want to emphasize that we think of you, everyone on the call, as our partners in this effort, and we really encourage you to share this resource with your network. If you want sample promotional emails about this, blog postings to share, and if you want some language you could use in a newsletter, you can email us, and we'd be glad to share all that we have to help you get the word out about our materials. You can email us at teamnutrition@fns.usda.gov, and we'd be happy to share any promotional resources with you, and we'll be glad to answer any additional questions. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maya. This is really exciting that we were able to do this webinar to perfectly coincide with the release date. And now we will turn it over to Dorian Stonebarger to tell us about her work with 3 Square Food Bank.
Thank you, Carolyn. And Maya, we're super excited to use those resources on our end. Thank you for sharing all of that in the toolkit. I thought that it would be helpful for those on the call for a little bit of background on 3 Square. We are a food bank, and so kind of maybe different for us to be interested in summer programming. We're fairly new on the block. We didn't start direct meal service until 2009. That's when our central kitchen was built. And we only vended summer food service until 2013, and that's the year that our after-school meals program started approaching us to continue meal service throughout the summer, which is fantastic. That's what you hope for every year. And then we became a technical assistance state. Nevada did in 2014. There is, and still is, historically low participation in Nevada in the summer food service program. And when we did that, we did also take over sponsorship for a lot of other organizations, places like the Boys and Girls Club, the Parks and Rec Center, and really took on the charge to increase summer meals at that time through the food bank. However, that year we did grow over 40% as far as sites go in the Valley, but only 14% as far as meals go. And so we needed to take a step back and see what was the preventative factor or what were the encouraging factors for kids to participate in the summer meals program. And as was mentioned while we were going through the toolkit, not only was there higher participation in sites with activities, but there was also a higher rate of retention. And so we saw an opportunity last year through SNAP Ed funding to be able to provide that activities piece at some sites that didn't already have that opportunity. And although we're going to talk about exactly how we wrote our grant and the things that we learned, it was pretty open, other than you needed to use evidence-based physical activity and evidence-based nutrition activities and education for this grant, and they would pay up to 2.5 hours of staff time to provide these activities through SNAP Ed. And Nevada's focus was on schools. That also came from the USDA technical assistance, that the same kind of communication that we've all heard, that schools being used as nutrition hubs was being encouraged. And so that was a focus for us, but otherwise it was pretty open. And so we did apply, and we had purchased Spark Curriculum, being those that don't provide other programming other than meal service, we had no idea where to start as far as programs go. And so we purchased Spark Curriculum, and then we also hired a consultant to go through those activities and pick out the 55 days of last summer, 55 days worth of activities that could flow throughout that 2.5 hours for whoever would be performing that with the kids. And then also to add the nutrition education element. And we learned a lot in that process, which I'll get into as well. But we also added an additional 1.5 hours through the actual SFSP meal service for a total of 4 hours activities. It sounded like a nice kind of round number where parents could send their kids for more of a day camp. And so it was about a half an hour for breakfast and then an hour set aside for lunch, and all of this was open. It was open for breakfast, open for activities, open for lunch, and you could participate in any or all of those activities. And we then selected sites, and you saw on the last slide that our goal was to get 10 sites and to focus on schools. We didn't end up with that, but I learned a lot. And so we ended up with 2 schools, 2 apartment complexes, and 1 cultural center. And 2 of those sites we had worked with in the past, and the others were organic and new for the time. But with the 2 schools, I would encourage anyone who is going to use summer food service inside schools and providing it that's not through their school food authority, that you find a principal that will tell you all of the ins and the outs of their school district, because that was probably what prevented us from being in more schools that year, was coming up against things that we weren't finding out until late May into June. And little pieces being the actual rental of the facilities and how that paperwork comes about, and how to split their fiscal paperwork and all of that stuff that we luckily had a great relationship with the principal who kind of walked us through everything that we needed to do in order to get that into the schools, and then we were able to roll it out into the other. Then we partnered with 2 other organizations. Again, us not being a kid program facility, we partnered with the Boys and Girls Club, which just seemed like a smart idea, and it was. And they ended up hiring 1 manager to oversee just those sites. And then there were site leaders at each site that had to be an adult, and then they also provided opportunities for jobs for youth, which matched what the Boys and Girls Club was already doing that summer. So it was a great opportunity for them to provide more job opportunities for youth and to hire more individuals during the summer, and then they could focus on this nutrition and physical activity piece for us, and then they would also pass out the meals. We also partnered with the Cooperative Extension, and they came in and did weekly Chef for Kids presentations with the kids, so additional nutrition education from a curriculum that was already built, something that they already did and wanted to continue throughout the summer, and that was a perfect kind of marriage of opportunity for everyone. In this next slide, you can see the actual picture of some kids enjoying one of the nutrition presentations from Chef for Kids through the Cooperative Extension, and this is at Whitney Elementary School, who will be a returning site this year. And as we go into the next one for lessons learned, that's an important piece. We will be returning to those 2 schools and 1 of the apartment complexes that we had. The other 3 sites that we picked this year are pre-existing Boys and Girls Club sites that already have activities, but they're not free to kids, and there is not every child in the complex participating. So it will be an opportunity for us to see if providing free programming will spark more interest from everyone in the complex and what we can do there and how much we can grow. And that, of course, also is something that the Boys and Girls Club is interested in finding out the results of that. We did decide to use Boys and Girls Club evidence-based programming this year for 2 reasons. We had shortened the training in order to get everyone up to speed with the Spark curriculum, and I don't think that we all agreed that it needed a lot more work and somebody a little bit more versed on the Spark education in order to be able to pass on that education to the Boys and Girls Club. And so they do have evidence-based activities that they've already put together, and so we'll be using that curriculum, which they're much more comfortable with this year. Again, providing more training, that was a piece that we learned, so it will be a week's worth of training for the youth and for the site leaders, as well as for even our staff will participate in all of it this year. Marketing earlier, and that is, I think, a challenge for all summer food service sites every year, maybe some last-minute marketing, but we'll be able to market, having chosen those sites much earlier than learning lessons in May. We are able to start advertising where those program sites will be and that they will be open, and we can do that from the schools and the apartment complexes that they'll be located at. And also the addition of incentives. So although programming itself is an incentive, which we've learned, it is important to kind of have something else to look forward to. And so it's encouragement for all activities, whether they're coming for the meal service alone or if they're coming for the meal service and the physical activities, that there will be something to work towards, whether that's certificates or we've got a lovely donation of bicycles this year, and we're looking into some other things, just some giveaways that would be very similar to another type of day camp that kids would be participating in. And on the next one is just my information in case anybody wanted a little bit deeper or into those lessons learned, which we were very happy to pilot it this year, and even more excited to go into it with what we learned from last year. You know, already working with the Boys and Girls Club to work out exactly how the hiring process will go for the individuals, but anybody partaking in this, again, I would recommend finding a principal to walk you through the process. I do recommend hiring someone or finding someone that can concentrate on those activities rather than just in an addition to other summer food service activities. It does need concentration of somebody with a watchful eye, making sure that everything is going as planned for the grant. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorian, for sharing so many great tips and lessons learned. And I'm sure everyone else will appreciate that you learned them first. And so with that, we will hand it over to Candace with First Book to tell us about even more great free resources.
Thank you, and I'm so thrilled to be here and learning more about the experiences and the opportunities that are available through summer meal sites. This is just fantastic, and First Book is delighted to be part of this conversation. I'm going to cover kind of a lot of information. I'm just going to kind of skim through some things in my limited time today, but I do include my contact information at the end of this presentation, and I welcome and invite anyone who wants to learn more or needs some clarification to just get right back in touch with me, and I will make sure to get you what you need. So with that, let's dive in. So First Book might not surprise you to know that we are all about books, and we know that the power of books is that they are tangible tools and create all kinds of opportunities by being able to place something tangible in the hands of kids and families. They're great for bridging gaps and building relationships. They help to stop summer learning loss, and they're a wonderful resource for creating what we like to call mirrors and windows, and I'll talk a little more about that. Next slide. There we go. So First Book is a nonprofit social enterprise. We've been around for about 24 years now, and we provide access to free and low-cost books and educational resources for programs serving kids in need. Since we were founded, we've distributed 135 million brand new books, and we really are determined to become a permanent supply of free and low-cost brand new books for programs serving kids in need. Next. So to access First Book's resources, you must verify that you're a program that serves a threshold of at least 70% low-income families or that you're a program designed for children with disabilities or a program designed for military, to support military families. Outside of that, though, you can be any type of organization or agency. So we work with a network of 245,000 educators and service providers that we call members. It's free to register with FirstBook, and you can, like I said, this is just a small example of what types of organizations are connected with us. Any organization serving low-income families, we encourage to register with FirstBook for access to our resources. The great news for everyone on this call is that you are all eligible to sign up with FirstBook, and we've created a special URL so that we're able to affiliate you with the type of work you're doing. So firstbook.org/summermeals will take you to our registration site. There are absolutely no strings attached. Registering just gets you connected with our free and low-cost resources, as well as funding opportunities that come from our corporate and foundation supporters. So we often have kind of mini grant opportunities that allow programs to purchase our very low-cost resources completely supplemented by outside funding, so you ultimately get these resources for free. You'll see in the registration process that there are some eligibility criteria, and we've just provided menus for you to kind of sort through what those are and to help you determine that your program is in fact eligible. Great, thanks. So what we have is brand new top quality books and educational resources for kids birth through 18. So it's everything from board books to college prep books, and we have some resources we've been expanding in the last year. I'll talk a little more about beyond books. But the way we do that is by partnering with just about every major publisher across the country. We've been able to prove our business case over the last 20+ years that we are in fact opening a new market for them. If they allow us to sell these brand new books at a fraction of the cost that they're available at retail, we're really providing access and building readers that would not otherwise have access to these great books. So the FirstBook Marketplace is our low-cost portal. It is an online e-commerce site. You sign on with your login name, and there you'll see more than 5,500 titles. The content area is really driven by feedback from our network, and healthy eating, healthy living is a topic that you'll see. We have multiple pages and lots of titles that support that content area, as well as all of these other great interest areas and things like award winners and all of that. And so you just go through the marketplace, fill your shopping cart the way you normally would. Everything on the marketplace is between 50 to 90% below retail cost, with the average cost of a brand new book just costing $2.85. And that's your access to the marketplace. One very quick topic I want to touch on is our Stories for All project. This is our Clinton Global Initiative commitment to increasing access to diversity in children's books. And we know that books can serve as windows and mirrors for children. So for children who have very limited environments, they can be a window into the outside world to see other types of opportunities that they might not otherwise know about. And as mirrors, children deserve to see themselves and their life experiences in books. And so we curate the content on the marketplace really through the lens of understanding that working exclusively in low-income communities, many children that we serve have access only to, sorry, I got thrown off by the slides. Folks in low-income communities may have different life experiences than those who are more resourced. Beyond that, we have some free resources on the marketplace that have been curated with top researchers and thought leaders in the field. These are tip sheets that are downloadable and support adults in interacting with books. So when we're talking about enrichment, these are great kind of easy tools to use. They're conversation starters. I'll point out that the far right activity sheet there, the Kaboom tip sheet, is a small collection of books that have been created with Kaboom to then highlight physical activities and games that you can play with children that relate to the theme of those books. One other really exciting resource that I want to point out is our Open eBooks resource. This is brand new. You guys may have seen it. We were fortunate enough to have Michelle Obama make an announcement about Open eBooks, but FirstBook is the distributor for this free eBooks platform. It's available exclusively through FirstBook. So if you're working with a group of 20 kids, you can purchase for free on the FirstBook Marketplace codes for Open eBooks and then distribute those codes to each of your families so that they then have access to thousands of titles via their smartphone or tablet. The FirstBook National Book Bank is our free resource. We distribute about 10 to 12 free publisher-donated books through this channel each year, and when you're registered with FirstBook, you'll get notifications when we have these donations available, and you'll have access to all of those free books as well. And I'll just quickly breeze through a couple of ways that we hear that books are useful in engaging site programming. Folks are using them as incentives, so earning points for attendance and then keeping books for their participation as rewards, hosting family reading parties, getting families reading together, and then rewarding them with the book to take home. They're wonderful for engaging local leaders. You can invite local leaders to come and read and really help them see the value of your program in your community. We hear that they help make transitions easier, especially when kids are starting school for the first time. Having teachers come in and read a book and hand out books to kids is a great relationship builder and a great warm introduction. Pairing books with healthy activities. I mentioned we have a great healthy eating, healthy living section on the marketplace, as well as those free tip sheets that give suggestions for activities that go along with the books. And you know, we hear that folks create activities around the books, get creative in terms of art projects or theater projects, things like that, related to the themes of the books. You might create a menu based on themes and cultures that are represented in certain books, or establish a site lending library so that families and children have access to multiple titles throughout the summer. And they're great for engaging community partners, really bringing the community together and introducing folks to multiple stakeholders around the community using books and activities. So when we leave this conversation today, I hope that you will all sign up with FirstBook, firstbook.org/summermeals. Explore the marketplace, look around, fbmarketplace.org, and don't hesitate to reach out to us. We love to hear from you. We love brainstorming ideas. We're really focused on listening to our network and understanding what the needs of our network are, so please don't hesitate to get in touch. And you can do that either through my personal email, cradowski@firstbook.org, or if you're registering and have a question, or your marketplace shopping cart doesn't look right, or those types of questions, we have an amazing group of folks who are under the roof here at FirstBook, who are dedicated, mission-driven professionals that are available 8 to 6 Eastern Time every day on the phone, and they're always happy to help you with any of those types of questions you have. So thanks so much for this time, and I really appreciate the opportunity to connect with everyone.
Thank you so much, Candace, and this is such a wonderful resource, so we really appreciate you sharing it with us today. And now we are excited to hear about how someone has actually put FirstBook into action, and so with that, we will hand it over to Yvonne with Hope for Miami.
Great, thank you. We are probably a heavy user of the resources of FirstBook, and for the last 4 or 5 years have acquired their books for our summer camps. They also helped us with a letter of support for a proposal we did to do family literacy book festivals throughout the Miami area. The purpose of this was to combat summer learning loss by putting books in the hands of children, as well as engaging their parents with some how to read with your kids literacy tips. So in the 3 years of that project, we reached 40 or 50 summer camp locations that were all providing summer meals, distributed 45,000 new books, and were able to find parent reading tips in English, Spanish, and Creole, which is something needed here in the South Florida area. So kids got to pick the book they wanted. Here's the picture of one of our book festivals, and we would set it up by age group, and they would come to the table and pick the one they wanted. We found that was a better way of engaging the kids than just simply handing them a book. If they got to pick, it was more fun. And if we had someone to be reading aloud in a story hour before the event happened, the kids always wanted the book that the person just read. So a little bit about what we've learned from how to put on these book festivals. This project was a partnership, like I said, with First Book Foundation. The Children's Trust, our local agency, provided the funding, and then Florida International University provided reading teachers and the training of reading volunteers to go into the sites and work with the kids that specifically were struggling with reading. And we have a local summer meals provider called the Village Youth Services who did the summer meals with us and would help even when we were doing events after the summer camp day was over when the parents were there. So we were able to tie in the nutrition piece along with the literacy piece. The project's not going on for this summer, but we will be continuing to find other funding. At the same token, one of the things that our agency likes to do is to promote the summer meals program. We've actually hosted twice a community-wide workshop to get more folks, more churches, youth programs, and other nonprofits to be aware of the fact that this summer meals program exists. The fact is, with so many different languages and cultures here, it's sometimes hard to get the word out, but we were able to get usually 90 people in attendance and significantly boost the number of participating agencies that were offering summer meals for 2 years in a row. And now that I see these lovely resources from USDA and SNAP-Ed, I'm thinking, okay, we should do this again and put more resources in the hands of local agencies to make sure that kids get fed. Because Miami is one of those areas where there is proportionately low participation in summer meals given the number of kids in the school system. So again, these are just some ideas, and there's my email if you have any more questions.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Yvonne. So with that, we will open the floor for questions. So again, please use the questions section in the GoToWebinar toolbar over on the right, since we will not be taking any questions over the phone. So our first question that we have for Maya is, what quantities are available to order per organization? Specific example of a public health department that might be working with many collaborating members?
That's a really great question. Since the materials are not on our order form just yet, those quantities, when they are on the order form this summer, will be indicated. However, if you need to order more than what is listed, what will be listed there, you can always email. And I sent this email to Stephanie. I don't know if she's able to send it out to the group. But if you send an email to teamnutrition@fns.usda.gov, if you need to make a bulk order that's larger than what will be on the order form, you can send a message to that email address and request to order larger quantities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And another question for you, Maya, which is, can you tell us a little bit more about how you developed and tested these materials?
Great. So that's a fabulous question. The overall scheme of what was desired for this project was something that nutritionists at USDA, Food Nutrition Service, who work on nutrition education products, conceived. And then a contractor was used to help pull these together and actually do some of the graphic design, And then we went through many iterations that were reviewed by outside agencies, including the National Summer Learning Association and many other partner associations to take a look at the materials and give us feedback on them. And we had lots of staff in many departments at USDA looking at the materials. And then we went out to actual parents, to children, and to site operators to take a look at these materials, to participate in surveys and focus groups to let us know what worked, what didn't work, what was confusing, what needed to be revised. And then the materials were further changed to incorporate those, the feedback that we got from the community. So it's been about a 2-year, probably when it's all said and done, about a 2-year process of developing these over many different iterations. And we welcome, as they're out now, we still welcome your feedback, as I'm sure they'll be revised again in the future. So.
Great, thank you so much for that background. So this next question is for everyone, but I'll kind of down to each of you to have you answer this without talking over each other. So we had a question about a new summer site that is wondering whether they need any documentation that they are a summer site in order to access some of these resources. So Maya, we'll start with you again. Do you need any kind of verification of the kind of organization that's ordering these materials?
On our order form, we do have a form that we ask people to fill out when they're ordering our materials, and they are only available to sites that are participating in the Summer Food Service Program or these materials. Really, it's any child nutrition program, but we think most commonly they'll be participating in Summer Food Service or Seamless Summer Option, and we do have a way for them to indicate that on the order form. And we don't require like other documents to be sent, but are just screening them through our order form.
Okay, so it's just a like self-certification that they are participating in the summer program.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so Dorian, can you tell us in the SNAP-Ed funding application process whether you had to specify that you were a summer sponsor, or could a summer site apply as far as you know?
I can't answer for that. I can look it up, but it was more history of organization and kind of what your focus was for that year and your plans were for the year, but I can't specify if you could be a site versus a sponsor.
Okay, that's fair. We may have to follow up with SNAP-Ed on that one. And Candace, do you need any kind of verification that the sites applying for your resources are participating in SFSP?
When programs register with First Book, they're asked to verify what they're basing their eligibility on. So it might be Title I eligibility, it might be Head Start eligibility, it might be Federally Qualified Health Center, might be a summer feeding site, summer meal site. And so we ask people to self-verify and then, swear by affidavit at the end. But in the process of registration, there's not anything that we're asking for documentation on. And then internally, each month about 1,000 registrations get pulled for internal audit, and we have folks on our staff that kind of look into registrations and make sure they seem square, and if there are any questions, they'll get back in touch with the program. But we don't ask for anything up front other than self-verification.
And Yvonne, do you just want to tell us a little bit more about how you get connected with Summer Food Service Program sites?
Well, I worked directly with the Children's Trust and posted a bulletin, alert that we had these book festivals available, and as long as I didn't have 4 in one day, I was out there with our staff pulling these together. So as long as they were in the neighborhood and applied, and as long as we had books, I helped them.
Wonderful. And I guess a follow-up question for you, Yvonne, about how many people does it take to put on one of the festivals that you do, both staff and volunteers?
Well, it depends on the size of the group. When we would work with some of the larger camps that had 500 kids, you'd have to bring a lot of volunteers because we actually collected the name of the child and their age just so that we had some documentation. So that's how we trained our volunteers with their little clipboards. But we generally had at least one of our summer staff and a cadre of volunteers that we encouraged to participate, 3 or 4, depending on the size of the event.
Great. Now we have a question for Dorian. What amount of time or resources did it take 3 Square to make this enrichment happen beyond the support you were given from SnapEd?
It was, we did have a coordinator at the time that did work on it. I'd say maybe a third of his time was spent on it, but the consultant was probably the biggest piece, where he was here for a month actually searching through the activities. And that's where, if you have another organization that already provides activities for kids, that might be a better use of time. It was because we did not have the history of programming to jump into that, and so it was a lot of research time going into selecting the activities. So if you can partner with another organization that already does that, then you're already skipping over half of that piece that we did. And so currently we do have a coordinator working on it that I'd say every day she's touching base with something about it, but it won't really come to, you know, kind of full fruition until that mid-May time, when it's time to start really the training and kind of promotional stuff at those sites to get everybody geared up to go.
Okay, wonderful. And so just a last call for questions. So if you are thinking of something, go ahead and submit it now as we're winding down our time together. I do have a question for Candace, which is there a limit on how many books you could order?
There's not. There's no limit, and the choice is completely in the hands of the educator. So even when we have free donated books, we get those in quantities of hundreds of thousands and move them back out to our network in carton quantities. So they might, you might get 24 or 48 books at a time of the same title. But even when we have the donated inventory, we ask educators to raise their hand and indicate which titles and how many of each title they want to receive, because we know that on the ground, you know what gets your kids most excited, and so there's never a limit to how many you can order other than just our inventory supply, and we always leave the choice in your hands.
That's great. All right, well, it looks like we do not have any more questions, but Yvonne, did you want to go ahead and say something here to close?
Well, just in my experience working with First Book, with the free book distribution, as soon as you see that flyer come in your email box, order early, because they will run out, just from my experience, especially if there's titles that you really, really want to have. Don't wait 3 weeks before you say yes, because they'll be gone.
That's a great tip, and it's also great to know that this is a very well-utilized resource. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you again to all of the speakers and for sharing so many wonderful resources and all of your great experience. We really appreciate it, and thank you to all of you for tuning in today. And so as I mentioned, we will have the recording and the slides and the resources and links up after this. So be on the lookout for that so that you can share that with all of your colleagues and all of your sites. So thank you again, and please tune in for future Center for Best Practices webinars. Have a great afternoon.